Mr. Gray was the town's clockmaker. His shop was filled with clocks, big clocks, small clocks, clocks that chimed and clocks that whispered. Liam loved to visit. He would stare at the spinning gears. He imagined they held secrets. One day Liam saw it, a golden pocket watch. It lay nestled among old clocks. It gleamed under the dim shop light. Liam felt drawn to it. He had to see it closer. "May I?" Liam asked, pointing at the watch. Mr. Gray was silent for a moment. He looked at Liam, then at the watch. Finally he nodded. Liam picked up the watch. It was warm, almost hot. "Be careful, Liam," Mr. Gray said. His voice was low and serious. "This one's different." Liam nodded, but he wasn't sure he understood. He opened the watch. It ticked loud and clear, louder than any clock he'd ever heard. Liam held his breath. The watch ticked again. The shop around them blurred. When things came back into focus, Liam gasped. He was in the same shop, but everything was different. The clocks were dusty, the room was dark. Mr. Gray looked younger, but also sadder. "What happened?" Liam whispered. Mr. Gray looked up, surprised. "Liam, you're back?" He sounded weary. Liam was confused. "Back? What did Mr. Gray mean?" Before Liam could ask, he heard a familiar voice outside. His grandfather. Liam had never met his grandfather. He had died before Liam was born. Liam ran outside. There he was, young and strong. Liam's heart pounded. He could talk to him. He could spend time with him. The watch felt heavy in his pocket. He could go back to any moment. He could change things. Liam spent the afternoon with his grandfather. He learned about his family, his life. He felt a connection he'd never known. When it was time to leave, Liam was filled with joy. He'd changed the past. He'd had a chance to be with his grandfather. But as he walked back to Mr. Gray's shop, he noticed something different. The world seemed dimmer. The sun wasn't as bright, the colours were muted. Mr. Gray confirmed his fear. "Each time you use the watch," he said, "it takes a toll. Time. It unravels a bit." Liam was horrified. He hadn't understood. He'd been so focused on his own desires that he hadn't considered the consequences. The joy of seeing his grandfather faded. In its place was a growing guilt. Could he live with the fact that his actions were harming the world? Liam struggled with his secret. He stopped visiting Mr. Gray. He avoided the clockmaker's shop. The golden watch felt heavy in his pocket, a constant reminder of his mistake. The world outside continued to darken. The sun was weaker. The flowers wilted. People in town started to notice. They whispered about a strange sickness affecting the land. Liam knew the truth. He was the reason. The guilt was eating him alive. He had to fix it, but how? He didn't know if he could reverse the damage. He went back to Mr. Gray. He confessed everything. Mr. Gray listened patiently. When Liam finished, the old clockmaker sighed. "Time is a river, Liam," he said. "You can't just dip your toes in without expecting to get wet."